fillet main course, we're going to pan-sear a beautiful bit of fillet. We're going to do some kale, a fondant potato, and some steak Diane sauce. Ooh, cheeky. So the ingredients you'll need from your box is some creme fraiche, some chicken stock. If you've used all the chicken stock from the risotto, don't panic, just use water, it doesn't matter. You need the Diane sauce, which is here. You need about 6 cloves of garlic and some little shallots. Your shallots might be brown, so don't panic, these are white. Your shallots might be brown. Some diced butter, a couple of jacket potatoes, some kale, which you should have had about a 500 gram bag of kale. I've just picked the kale down in a little florets kind of style. And 2 beautiful 7-ounce fillet steaks. Now you might think they're a bit thin, but that's 7 ounce of pure, awesome meat. You won't need any more, because your belly will be full after that. A lot of chefs use 8, 9, 10 ounce fillets, but no, 7 ounce, perfect. So to start, we're gonna confit the shallots and the garlic. Now, I know on the recipe card it says do the fondant potato first, but don't panic, we're gonna do this first. So we just got the shallots and the garlic, a little bit of salt, a couple of blocks of butter, in some foil, and we're literally on a parcel in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes until the garlic and the shallots are soft inside. So just pop them in there. So the shallots and the garlic, you could do the night before if you want. These you could also do in the afternoon to save some time. Now, we're gonna do 2 types because rather than sending you a pre-prepared fondant, we've sent you some bakers so you can do some cooking. If you've got a ring, use it. If you haven't, you could do a square cut. So I'll show you exactly how to do it. So what you need to do, get your potato, take the top off, take the bottom off, so you've got a nice sized potato, and then we're going to get that in there and we're going to push down. Pop it out and trim the edges off, and then pop this out. Okay, so that's one fondant. Now when you popped it out, we're going to peel the edges. So you get your peeler, just going to bevel the edge, that side and that side. So you can see the edges have got a nice bevel shape on. So if you haven't got a cutter, don't panic, we'll do a square one. So I'll show you how to do that. Now it's important that each fondant is exactly the same size in height. So we've got to work to try and get that same size in height. So we're gonna do, you could do a rectangle one if you wanted, you could do a square one. There's absolutely no rules. You see there, just get this straightened up. So I'm gonna do a nice square fondant. Again, I'll bevel the edge. How fun's this? This is a lot better than getting a prepared fondant. It's so simple to do. So there you go. We've got a square, or a rectangle, and a round. I've just been told it's not a round, it's a circle. Anyway, right, so we've got the chicken stock. We've got the chicken stock there already, what's left over from the risotto. We're gonna pop the potatoes into the stock. Now we're also gonna pop about a good amount of butter. I'd say 4 or 5 blocks of butter. And then we're just gonna, right, Amelia, get this, right, ready? We're gonna top up with water just to the surface of the potato. So, what's going to happen is, when we boil this, Amelia, the butter's going to melt, the stock's going to evaporate, and then eventually the butter will burn on the bottom of the pan, and we'll have an awesome cooked fondant with a beautiful caramel top. Do not put any salt in, do not put any salt in yet. Turn your heat on and watch that bubble. Now be patient, you've got to boil it and you've got to make sure all the stock is evaporated. And once it is, the potato will be perfectly cooked and it'll have a nice caramel bottom, which we'll come back to when that's ready. Okay, so you can see now it's just started to boil. So now's the time we're gonna reduce it all the way down till there's nothing left. So make sure you set a timer for 5-minute intervals because if you mess this up, it's the point of no return. Dun, dun, dun. You'll be all right. You won't mess it up at all. The worst thing you could do is you could burn it. So, steak Diane sauce, beautiful creamy mushroom sauce with a splash of brandy made by True Foods. All you've got to do with this is heat it up really gently and season it. So, just before you're going to cook the fillets, just get it out of the pouch, squeeze it into a pan and put it on a really, really low heat and bring it to the boil and just warm it up. Now, you've just got to be really careful. You don't boil it too much and it sticks to the bottom, so a real relaxed heat. So another top tip is make sure the fillet is out of the fridge for at least 30 minutes beforehand and out of its packaging, because you need the room temperature to get to the meat so it's not freezing cold. Because there's no muscle inside, it cooks really quick, but if you do cook it too quick, it'll be cold in the middle, so you've got to make it room temperature. Now, before we cook any steak whatsoever, we pre-season it. So lots and lots of cracked pepper all over the top of it, lots of salt, good amount of salt. Turn it over, same again. More salt. And then we've got some olive oil. Fingers in. And just massage the steaks in the olive oil. I'll just let that sit for a few minutes. Beautiful, okay? Let that soak it up. And then that'll be just ready to seal off. Now we've got to time this right. So the fondants are cooking down, the shallots are in the oven, the Diane sauce is warming up. I've got a red hot pan over there ready to seal the fillet, and we've got to cream the kale. So we've just got to think it's all about timing. The kale will probably take about 2 to 3 minutes to cook. This will probably take about 4 to 5 minutes to cook because you've got to baste it. So start with this, then move on to the kale. So you can see all about preparation. Frying pan getting hot, fondant potatoes on the stove getting cooking, Diane sauce ready to go, and then another pan to cook the kale. Okay. Your frying pan needs to be absolutely smoking hot, so get it really, really warm, really hot before you put the meat in. If it goes into a cold pan, game over. So smoking hot, nice hot pan, splash of oil in there. Start. Now this is the important bit. Fill it straight in. Now what you've got to do is move the fillet just for a couple of minutes, couple of seconds. Make sure the fillet moves so it doesn't stick to the pan. If it's stuck, you need to get the fillet off the bottom of the pan. Let it move, and then we're going to let that sit for 2 to 3 minutes. We're just going to let it sit there. We're not going to touch it at all. So 2 minutes in, we're now going to flip the steak. Okay, so you can see it's just starting to come up down the sides. We're going to flip the steaks over. Watch fingers, wow, and you can see there, Amelia, really good caramel on them steaks. We're going to leave that again for another 2 minutes this time, 2 minutes, and then we're going to add some butter and start basting it. So it's quite easy to overcook a fillet because there's no muscle in it. So you've got to be patient, don't panic, and just trust what you're doing is correct. So 2 minutes, then we're going to start on its edges, holding it up, turning it round and just sealing all the edges. Watch your fingers. Use the corner of the pan to do this like that if you need to. So all the edges are sealed. You can see it's starting to bleed a tiny bit from the corners. We're just going to leave that for another minute. Then we're going to add some butter. We're going to start basting it. We're at a critical stage with the fondant. You can see all the stock's disappeared. And the butter is starting to caramelise up. Now what we need to do now is we need to make it so all the stock's gone and the butter starts to burn on the bottom. Alright, so this is where it could go wrong. So just remain patient, keep your eye on it, do not let it completely burn. Pull it off at the right time. So I'll probably say another 3 minutes there. So we're going to add some butter. So about a nice bit of butter. Now we're going to baste the meat. So what we've got to do is let the butter melt, tip your pan and just slip the butter on top of the steak. Baste that steak in that beautiful butter. This is really, really healthy, but who cares, it's Valentine's. Keep it tipped, keep basting it. Keep basting that fillet. Look at that, yes! Look at that, Amelia. Now this butter will start to go a real nutty, fantastic colour. It'll foam up, you keep it moving, it will not burn as quick as it would if it were in a flat pan. Keep the pan, you see the pan, Amelia? Keep the pan on a tilt. Always have the pan on a tilt. Just keep moving that butter over the top of that steak. Look at that. Now look at them fondants, Amelia. Look at them. Them fondants are nearly there. You can see the butter's just starting to burn. So I'm carrying on basting this, keeping my eye on the fondant. Really simple, really easy to do. You can't mess this up, really. Keep basting that meat. Now it's critical time. Now you can see the stock reducing. It's not actually burning on the bottom. So it's got a tiny little bit of time to go. You just need to get a little bit of water at the ready, because what we're going to do is once it starts to burn, we're going to tip a bit of water in and stop the cooking instantly. The fillet just about ready. So now's the time to figure out if it's cooked. So if you want it medium rare, probably take about 5 minutes to cook. You press it, it's got a good bit of spring, it's really rare. It's really rare. If it's rock hard, if it's quite hard, it's well done. The longer you cook it, the more cooked it will become. Follow the recipe on the card, you'll get a nice medium rare fillet steak. So the fillet's ready. We're going to put the fillet out onto a plate. Just going to let that sit. Baste it with a bit of butter. Now that's got to sit until the kale's ready. Okay, now Amelia, look down here. The fillet, the fondant. You can see the bottom of the pan? It's all the butter. It's all burning on the bottom of the fondant. That means the fondant's caramelising beautifully. Just take it a tiny bit more. Can you see that? Keep going. We're going to put in a splash of water. Right, step back, Amelia. And what the water will do there, it will just stop the cooking of the fondant, and it'll be ready. Now we've just got to let that sit until we're ready to put. So to test if the fondant's cooked, just simply put your knife in. If your knife goes in really easy, it's ready. If it doesn't, add a bit more water and carry on boiling it down until it does. The Diane sauce is warmed up. The steak's sat waiting. So we're just going to cook the kale. So for the kale, a couple of blocks of butter in a pan. The picked kale in the pan. We're going to season it at this point, Amelia. So a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. I'm just going to cook that down until the kale goes a beautiful green colour and it's cooked. So the shallots and the garlic I've taken out of the oven, and then I've just popped them out of the shells. So you can see, there you go. We've got nice shallots and garlic that are out of the shell, ready to go through the sauce. So now I'm just going to simply bob these in the sauce. So there's only me having this because Amelia's already had a tea. She ate the risotto earlier. So I've got shallots, the garlic and the Diane sauce. The kale is looking awesome, looking nice. I've put a little bit more butter in there. Don't tell anybody. And then Amelia, a little bit of creme fraiche. Now you might think that's weird. What have you done that for? That's actually going to act like a little bit like a creamed kale and give the kale a real nice acidic kind of touch to it. Look at that. Awesome. It looks fantastic. Let's test the seasoning. So if you don't have to put the creme fraiche in. Oh, but it really worked. It really, oh yeah, it gives that kale that awesome edge. Fondant on. Sorry, the kale on. And immediately we've got the shallots, and the garlic, and that awesome Diane sauce there. This will eat beautifully and you'll remember it forever. So we'll cut into it. Perfectly medium rare. Look at that, absolutely awesome. Get some Diane sauce on there. Mmm. Really good. That fillet is really, really nice. Oh, that brandy comes through that sauce, and that creme fraiche really helps it. Mmm. Beautiful.